Okay, let's get started. Nonviolent communication is what I want to talk about in these sessions. It's about peaceful communication, as I talk about it, but it has its roots in nonviolent communication, which is a series of practices and concepts developed by Marshall Rosenberg in his famous book called Nonviolent Communication. You can Google nonviolent communication. I highly recommend the book. And there's also some good stuff on YouTube, some lectures by Marshall Rosenberg and other things. Those are all very practical and very helpful, and I highly commend them to you. However, I think most people read the book Nonviolent Communication and they see it as a set of kind of techniques that they could try out with other people. They may try it a little bit and then move on as if it's a self-help book, like all those books you can get in the airport. But as I started leaning into practicing nonviolent communication, this is now 15 years ago, I have actually found it to be a spiritual practice of living out my relationship with God and my love for others. It's a practical way for us to love God and love our neighbor by reducing the levels of violence in our lives and in our hearts, in our relationships, in our households, in our workplaces, in our neighborhoods. And so I want to talk to you about nonviolent communication as originated by Marshall Rosenberg. I want to introduce to you the concepts and the ways that he thought about human beings and our relationships with each other. But I also want to add to what Marshall Rosenberg teaches by giving you some theological background and underpinning about what it means to be human and what it means to communicate in a peaceful way. How we can spread the peace of God which passes all understanding in every conversation we have with others and in the conversations we have with ourselves. So, first concept that I want you to understand about nonviolent communication, and these are the building blocks coming right out of Marshall Rosenberg's work, is that all human beings operate on a couple of different levels. All human beings have feelings, and all human beings have needs. The feelings are like the surface of the water. So if I'm feeling anxious or afraid or frightened or joyful or happy or fulfilled, that is what happens physically in my body as the chemicals move around and the hormones do their thing, and I feel excited or energized or down in the dumps or depressed. But oftentimes those feelings are hard for me to name, hard for me to articulate. Later on in this workshop, we're going to talk about how we can get better at learning how to articulate precisely what we're feeling, and how learning how to articulate precisely what we're feeling actually helps us be less kind of at sea in the world. So there's that level of feelings. It's like the surface level of feelings. Oftentimes, we react and respond right out of our feelings without even thinking about what we're feeling and without even thinking about what we really need in a particular moment. So what Rosenberg teaches us, what nonviolent communication teaches us, is to get better clarity about our feelings and to learn that our feelings are connected to our needs, almost like that surface of the water has a fishing line that's connected deep down in to our hearts. Our feelings are trying to tell us something. Our feelings are trying to tell us that our needs are being met or that our needs are not being met. The amazing thing about human needs, and here's what I want you to understand, human needs are something that all human beings in all cultures feel and need. Human emotion is something that all people in all cultures and in all languages feel. So the feelings and the needs are universal to all human beings. The language we use, of course, may be different. How we value certain needs may be different. But the fact that we all feel and that our feelings are connected to basic human needs is what Rosenberg is talking about. So what are human needs? Well, you can think of the classic ones. You have a need for shelter. You have a need for food. You have a need for air to breathe, right? You have a need for the temperature to be in a certain way. There are physical needs that we have, yes. But there are other needs that we have as well. We all have a need for safety. We all have a need for belonging. We all have a need to love and to be loved. Those aren't always the same thing, right? I need to love people, and I need to be loved as well. I need community, and I also need autonomy, and so do you. So our needs are these basic ingredients that make life either worthwhile and happy and joyful and fulfilling or not. What Rosenberg teaches us is that when my needs are being met, I have very positive feelings. I feel joy. I feel satisfied. We might even say I feel loved when my needs are being met. When my needs are not being met, I feel bored or anxious or nervous. So, first concept, which I want you to understand, is that there's a feeling level connected to a need. Part of what we're going to be learning how to do is connect our feelings to our needs, and that particular connection, the way I am wired, is different from how you are wired, based on your upbringing and your background, based on my upbringing and my background. This is where culture and environment have influenced the wiring that's in you and the wiring that's in me. This is why some people might go to a horror movie and laugh through it, and other people might go home and never sleep again. We are wired differently. And so our feelings and our needs are differently connected. And what we're going to be working on is how you can learn your feelings are connected to your specific needs. And although we all have feelings, and although our needs are all the same, how they're connected makes a big difference in how we communicate. So that's the first concept I want you to understand about nonviolent communication as it's taught by Marshall Rosenberg. I want you to start thinking about and being aware of your feelings. Start pondering, what do you need? And if you're not feeling good, start asking yourself, what need of mine is not being met? If you are feeling good, start saying, which needs are being met that are making me feel so fulfilled? And we'll talk more about what to do about our feelings and our needs next time.